Are you dreading the end of the year? Are you frustrated thinking about how you can make the last weeks of this year really impactful? Well, in today's video, we're going to cover some tools and tactics to help you get the most out of the rest of the year and end on a great note and start 2022 really strong. Hey everybody, I'm Ian Campbell. I'm CEO of Mission Suite, and welcome to my parents' basement. My wife, my son, and I are out traveling and doing our holiday travels here. And actually, we're just wrapping up our holiday travels. We just did our Thanksgiving and Christmas time travels with our families. And we are currently in beautiful Fairport, New York, back where I grew up. And currently, actually, I'm sitting in the little part of the house, I guess, that was my own when I was a teenager, when I was in high school. This was my little music studio once upon a time. Now it doubles as my dad's office. And so I figured, where better to make a video about the end of the year and about all the things that come up at the end of the year than in the chaos of my of a basement, where it just so happens is probably one of the only places that I can get a little bit of quiet time when you know how it is when you're traveling. Anyway, hey, before we jump into today's video, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified whenever we post new videos, and we are going to be diving in. Now, as I just mentioned, as we all know, the year end is fast approaching, and to put it mildly, well, it's been a pretty long year. While most of us might be tempted to just shut our laptops and get to the merrymaking, there is still important work that needs to be done. But before you groan or roll your eyes, I'll keep an eye on today's video. And we're going to talk about some tools and some tactics and some things that you can do right now to help you get the most out of the rest of this year, possibly add to your goals for this year, and start 2022 with a fresh perspective and a healthy network. The end of year ritual is not just symbolic, it's absolutely required for you to close the year on a high note and to start fresh in January. You worked hard all year long, and you owe it to yourself to do more than just add up your wins and move on. You deserve a deliberate recap of your year and a fresh start on the new year. So today, I'd like to talk a little bit about how you can best end this year. It should be no surprise that your end of the year also includes a little bit of work to be done. So pick up a notebook, grab a pen, because you're going to be taking some notes here. So let's dive in now. So first things first, you need to take the time. Now I know that this time of year, everyone's schedule is just packed through the holidays. Case in point, I am getting this video done 2 hours before it's going to be uploaded in my parents' basement. Obviously, you want to wrap up, you want to get some rest, you want to make it to a happy hour or maybe do some traveling and still find time to enjoy the season. But you should find time for yourself for an hour, for 90 minutes, or maybe more to actually recap and start thinking through what 2022 is going to look like. Everything we talk about today is going to be well worth your time. First, look back over your year. Go through your calendar, go through your meetings, look back at the deals that you worked on, the notes that you've made, anywhere that you can recall specific parts of your year. Think about your successes over the last 12 months and make notes about what worked, how you landed that fantastic new deal, that great new client, or different ways that you won this year. These notes are going to come in handy when you find yourself in a spot that's, well, let's face it, is less than ideal. Next, and this can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable, you should probably spend an equal amount of time reflecting on things that didn't go quite so right. Your challenges, the hiccups, and, well, some of the failures that you've come along with. That provides, obviously, a lot of learning. And no one wants to look back and remember when they lost, but this can, in all honesty, help you get ahead for your next challenge, for your next year. Think through your process and try to determine what was missing or where your missteps might have been. This exercise can help you not make those mistakes again. And they can help you give you direction if you find yourself in a similar situation once again. Of course, looking back on one of my favorite shows, The Office, just like Dwight told the 10th then, not everything is a lesson. Sometimes you just fail. And while that's amusing, it's also, unfortunately, sometimes true. There's likely a time or two that things just didn't go right. And don't dwell too long on that, right? Don't overthink that. You can't change the past. And while it's not a crime to make a mistake, obviously, making the same mistake twice without learning from it is a gaffe that you probably don't want to be doing. Lastly, and possibly most importantly, take time to put some process into place. Remember all those things that you were just too busy for all year? Maybe there's a time that you thought, I really wish I had more time for this. Well, now's the time to spend time thinking about how you can develop process to get through those times. Documented procedures turn into habits, and habits that move your business forward are pretty critical to success. Keeping track of your contacts all year can be a daunting task, which can be made easier with a CRM, obviously like Mission Suite. So make time now to not only set up your sales funnel, but also enter referral partners into your CRM. Keep track of where your leads are coming from. Keep track of who you're talking to. Keep track of how often you're talking to them. At the end of next year, you're probably going to have a much easier time keeping track of all that important information. Trust me, the time that you spend on this now will pay off all year long in 2022. Do your future self a favor so you don't have to just get by when time is tight. Honestly, there are so many reasons to stop and truly reflect on the year. You just have to be available for it. Celebrate your own success. Learn from the things that didn't go right, and think about how you can run a tighter ship in 2022. And of course, get some rest because you're going to need it. Next thing to think about is, where can you be doing more? While you're assessing your work this year, take a look at your world as a whole and ask some hard questions. You're not just an employee, you're a partner with relationships. You're not just a business owner, you have hobbies and interests beyond that job. Think about where you spent your time this year, and think about where you'd like to spend more of it in 2022. While obviously this is not a strictly work-related question, it is vital to make the most of your 2022. Because without the personal side, your business side is going to suffer. Ask yourself where you could have given more time, more attention, more TLC, and keep that in your mind as you shape your next year. Make some notes about that too, so if you find yourself stuck on it or maybe in a tight spot, you can always look back and get some much needed perspective. Now, this is definitely a smaller move for some, anyway. For some people, it might be a huge leap. But this little work is going to help you. We can't always see the solution when we're in the middle of a situation. So taking time now to make those notes could be your saving grace. And of course, this is another spot where your CRM can help you get the most from your from those contacts that you're working with. You have access to data about where you spent time and effort, and which clients make the most efficient, which clients made the most effective use of your time. This information can also help you refine your process and potentially put some more time back onto your calendar, because now all of a sudden you know who to spend time with and maybe even who to avoid. Next, talk about it. And realistically, this should be easy, right? Because everyone's talking about the end of the year right now. But for you, what I'm talking about is tell everyone what your end of year plan is, whether you hope to close 2 more deals or 100 more. I can think of at least 2 great reasons to let your colleagues and friends know what you're up to. First, you're making yourself accountable to those goals, right? If you have something in mind, you tell people about it, you feel a bigger drive to get there. No one wants to have to confess that they just didn't get something done, right? So by letting everybody know, you are essentially making them your accountability buddy. Secondly, you never know when someone is going to hear something or learn about something that you're talking about that can actually help you. And if you're not spreading the word about your end of year plan, well, that something is probably not going to make its way back to you. By telling your friends and family, your colleagues, your coworkers, etc., what you're up to, you're putting them on alert for a deal or for a client or a bit of information that you might be able to use. So often, I hear people talk about their goals, and they also say, now, don't tell anyone. Or, I'm not telling anyone, and I think this is probably a big mistake too. Telling everyone about your goals, because you never know who could wind up helping you out because they know your plans. Now, let's talk about low-hanging fruit. And low-hanging fruit to some might feel a bit degrading, but I think everyone should take time and look for those deals that are kind of a sure thing. Why wait until next month or next year to get that done? Not only is this potentially going to add to your goals for 2021, but it could also give you a little confidence boost that could carry you into 2022, and that could be far more valuable than whatever number you're going to post up at the beginning of January. And while we're talking about low-hanging fruit, let's take a good look at some of those clients and some of those deals that go smoothly and efficiently. What about those deals is so easy? Get out your notebook, take a piece of paper, write down some aspects of those deals to help you get through a more complicated deal. Yeah, no two sales, no two clients are the same, of course, but if you can learn from your mistakes, learn from your successes, you can help to develop those into more. Now, this is one of my favorite things, and that is to reach out to everyone. Likely, you've already got some sort of a plan to send messages to your clients, and that's pretty standard. We're all well familiar with those, hey, we've decided to extend Cyber Week for another week emails. But there's much more to outreach, right? Yes, of course, reach out to everybody, right? Like I said, reach out to your best clients, your most successful relationships as you close your year. But you don't have to gush emotion, right? But it's not a bad idea to let people know how they have helped you and how much you enjoy their company, what you've learned from them, and thank them for contributing to your success. They've all taken a part in it, right? So be open with that. Make sure that the people who mean the most to you know that they mean the most to you. Also, all those business cards that you've collected for those, after all those networking events over the year, well, now's the time to drop them into your CRM and send a little note. Fortunately, you can automate that. I'm happy to tell you how. But even though some people might not be a good fit to be a client of yours, they can become great partners. Maybe they're going to be good referral sources. Fact is, you never know, so don't dismiss too many people too soon. Send a note to everyone that you met, people that you met at a networking event, the client who ended up not working with you, the friend of a coworker you met that one time, a colleague who introduced you to a great client, etc., etc. Just send a quick note to keep the lines of communication open and let them know that you're grateful for the relationship. Honestly, I've had some great leads come from the most unlikely places, and you, again, never know where the next greatest thing is going to come from. So just send a brief, send an honest note, and it's a great idea because it doesn't have to be a big deal, but it makes sense, right? Write out a few lines, something like, hey, it was great to meet you this year. I hope our paths are going to cross again in 2022, right? People just don't get those types of emails anymore. They don't get those kinds of small notes, so they can really help you stand out. Everyone's scurrying around trying to close up and get home for eggnog and Santa or whatever they're celebrating with their families, but you're the one that took the time to send a nice note, and people remember these small things. Now, here's a pro tip. This task gets even more efficient if you have a solid CRM, something like Mission Suite, again, because you can actually automate this, right? So you don't necessarily have to go in and type in one, okay, thanks, sent, right? You can do this much more effectively. And while you're reaching out, of course, don't forget to send some holiday love to your active network, to your current network. If you rely on that network, just like I do, then they could probably use some holiday cheer from you as well. And a holiday note really feeds these essential relationships. Next, ask and then listen. It's one thing for you to look back as your year and make notes, but asking your team can give you fantastic insight as well. Think about it, your team, your coworkers, your clients, maybe the consultants that you've worked with over the course of the past year, maybe it's just your referral network. They can all provide you with thoughts on your methods and your techniques that you probably never would have thought of. It's kind of like your own little 360 review, just over eggnog and wine, right? It's a reliable tool to help you identify blind spots, evaluate contributions, and provide feedback from the people that you see every day, all the time. Not just one person, not just a boss, not just your wife or your husband, whomever, but if your company doesn't offer something like this, or if you're not doing something like this, well, think about just asking the people that are around you if they can give you some notes. I know you're probably practically perfect in every way and don't need it, but do it anyway. You're going to be surprised by how others see you and the great advice that you can get from someone doing the same or similar job as you too. Next, get clear on your why. Now, this might feel a little unnatural. You may think that you've already got this, right? But year end is a great time to get to know and or maybe even reassess your why. Many people get into a routine and lose sight of, or maybe even never knew, why they're doing what they're doing. But knowing why you do the work that you do gives you authenticity, gives you integrity. And as we've discussed, being authentic is part of you and your brand story. This carries a lot of weight with your clients and with your potential clients. So it can be a little important. And it's something that's going to be driving you, right? It's something that's going to keep you moving forward, even beyond all those hard times. One of the cornerstones of success is knowing your purpose. Some questions to consider that why can include things like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What about your life gives you the most enjoyment? What do you think you bring to your role in your company that nobody else can? I know this exercise can sometimes feel a little quirky, but trust me that knowing and remembering that why can drive you to achieve and to help you make better decisions. And of course, if you can't get to your why, you might have to ask yourself a few more challenging questions as well. Finally, take some time for you. This is not natural to a lot of us who are business owners, a lot of us who are, executives or higher ups in companies, but take time for yourself. Hydrate and rest up, because 2022 is coming just around the corner and you're going to have to do it all over again, but you're going to have to do it better. We can't stop the calendar, but we can make sure that we arm ourselves with the best tools. So make sure that you're spending some time for yourself, right? Take some time with your family. Take some time, spend a weekend in an ashram, at a silent retreat. Do something, but just take some time for you. Whatever's going to click for you. Get that time, because, again, 2022 is right around the corner. Hey, I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed, or at least got a kick out of, the strange lighting, awkward sound, and messy background of my parents' basement. I mean, come on, how often are you going to get to see this? And if you did like it, if you enjoyed it, go ahead, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, maybe give it a share so that others can see it too, because that always helps us in our algorithm. Comment, like it, the whole 9 yards. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you're notified every time that we post new videos. And while you're at it, you'll see some videos on the screen, so check those out too. And we will see you next time around. Cheers.